Welcome back to the Teacher Tales podcast. Doing something a little bit different today in light of the recent events that have happened in Georgia with the school shooting. And I just wanted to talk a little bit. So me and my great friend and partner, Jen Jamie, had some dialogue on the Teacher Triumphs live stream, actually about 30 minutes ago. And we just talked about sometimes how helpless is not the word, but there's only so much that we can do when these things occur. Like, first things first, my heart goes out to those teachers, to those students who had to witness such horrific acts. We shouldn't have to live in fear of our lives when we go to work. And unfortunately for some people, that's how they feel. And I wish I had solutions. I wish I had answers. But unfortunately, evil finds a way to be evil, no matter what safeguards you put in place, no matter what speech you try to give, no matter how much we stand together, no matter how strong we are. Evil finds a way to be evil and to do evil things. Fortunately, I would say that good people find a way to do good as well. People step up, people do their part, and I'm grateful for the people who were on the scene. I'm grateful for those teachers that were able to, do something that many of us could never imagine having to do, which is protect ourselves and others from fatal harm. So my prayers go out to those teachers. My prayers go out to those students, everybody involved, all the people who witnessed it. And going forward, I know for me, I'll pray and I'll do what I can as a teacher to help. But we all can do what we can to help. I'm not a politician. I don't make laws. I don't write bills. But there are people who do. And whatever you can do to help, you should. If that's just being a sounding board for your own kids in your classrooms, do that. Hug them, love them, hug your own kids at home if you have any. Be a voice, be an ear to listen to the people who need you most. And now we have part 2 with Donna Meyer, where she talks about her 5 whats and the excellent difference that she and other students have made for other students. Lastly, before we start the episode, I would like to dedicate a moment of silence to the people who lost their lives at Appalachia High School. So, Donna, you being an English teacher, I'm sure you will appreciate the last thing that we're going to do, which
Okay.
is the 5 W's.
I love it.
So, we've got who, what, when, where, why, and I'm going to let you choose which W we do first.
Let's go with the who.
All right. Let's go with, you've taught a lot of students. So we'll go with who's the student you will remember forever?
Oh, Tony, I wish I could answer that. I teach 8th grade, and I think one of the many reasons why God put me in education, I wanted 4 kids like my mama had when I was growing up, and I'm not blessed to have my own children. So I always say when people ask, well, sure, I have 120 this year, but I'm very lucky because I get close to my families and my kids. So when they grow up, I get invited to weddings. I get text messages on Mother's Day from kids. I've held my grand students, and I get to continue to be a part of their lives. So to
Mm.
say a favorite would just be impossible. It'd be like picking my own child favorite. I can tell you there are several that go out of their way every year to be sure I have a Mother's Day message, and that touches my heart
Wow.
more than anything. I've got so many that I'm so proud of. I have a certificate hanging up in my classroom that Sam Finney gave me, and he's in his 30s. Um, and he's a chaplain for our military now. He went to the West Point to the academy.
Hmm.
And he gave me a certificate at Christmas that said, permanent member of the Finney family with all rights and all vacations included, which I have. And I
Wow.
have his little senior picture he sent me in one corner, and I have his picture from the military academy in another, and a note that he wrote me on the back. And I treasure that. It goes up everywhere I go. It
Mm.
goes up in my room. It's moments like that, things
Hmm.
like that. I have a story, if you don't mind me sharing it, that I
Go
share
ahead.
every time I lead a teacher workshop, and I've been blessed to do that a few times. Um, I started a program called Sparks, which is supportive peers as resources for knowledge. And it's a program that happens during school. Most schools will have an advisory period where kids get help from their teacher or study.
Mhm.
And I realize so many of our kids are either in extracurricular activities or in positions at home where they can't come before school, before the bus can get them there, or stay after school for help from teachers. And I wanted them to get help. And I wanted them to get help from peers because so often a teacher may not be able to reach them. So I pull the best eighth graders and they tutor kids during that time. And it's been fabulous. It's
Mm.
life changing on both sides. My first year, I had a special education teacher come to me and say it was the year they mandated that kids had to pass eighth grade reading star to go on. And this
Mm.
teacher said, "We have a young man. He's not even really out in the general population classrooms. He's never passed star. We are thinking we'd like to try him with a tutor. Do you have someone?" And I said, and I'm going to say his name because his family is dear to me. I taught all the kids. I said, Clayton Lowell. Clayton Lowell will do
Mm.
this for us. And so I pulled Clayton aside. I said, this is going to be a special circumstance. You're assigned to him for the next 3 months in advisory. You're going to work to get him to pass the star. And,
Mm.
he's special, Clayton. He's the kid you see that wears the weighted vest kind of thing. And so Clayton said, yeah. And the first day it was so cute because this kid hit my classroom. He grabbed two staplers and he's running around shooting staples, and Clayton's chasing him saying,
Ah.
now, Miss Meyer's not going to be happy. It was that kind of situation. But at the end of that year, our principal called every kid in that passed the star that had never passed it to tell him. And he
Mm.
said, when I told this young man, I didn't know what I had done wrong because he jumped up and ran out of my office. Well, he ran straight up to Miss Meyer's room. It just so happened that Clayton was in that class. It was very lucky. He threw
Mm.
open that door yelling and crying, Clayton, Clayton, I passed. And Clayton stood up and he jumped into his arms, and they were hugging and crying. And I'm telling you, my
Wow.
football players were crying in that moment. And that moment, wow. I mean, I can envision it still clear as day. And that young man, Clayton, got a full ride scholarship to A&M University for engineering. And after
Mm.
his first year, he called me in the summer and said, Miss Meyer, I just told my parents, and I want you to be the next to know. I think I'm either going to become a teacher or I'll become a youth group minister, but I want to work with kids. And he said,
Wow.
and that was one reason why that experience he had in eighth grade. So there's so many little moments that happen on a school campus between kids, among teachers. Um, it's a beautiful butterfly environment for sure. And we just
Mm.
have to be sure we set it free to soar every day. Yeah.
Wow. How do we go on?
I
How
don't
do
know, but I think I got you a little verklempt too. I'm sorry, Tony.
That's a special story. That's a very special. I mean, next W.
Okay. Okay.
Where? Because you like to change things up. I think this would be a good one. Where'd you see yourself 5 years ago? Are you there, or did it change along the way? I think we know it changed, but how?
So around 5 years ago, and that would have been, I guess, about my 25th year, I had always sworn as a young teacher that I couldn't understand in my first few years looking around me why we had, and I mean no offense by this because it happens to us all. I looked around and I thought, why are these crappy old teachers here that hate kids? Don't take offense. Hear me out. I couldn't believe, I thought, why did they ever become a teacher? In my head, I thought they should have quit, right? About 5 years ago, I got to that place where I was kind of feeling like I might be ready to retire. And you really can't afford to retire, nor can you retire when you've gone long enough
Yeah.
in education. You don't just get to go out and get a different job because, at least in Texas, you're not on Social Security. So you don't have a choice but to stay in, even if you're ready to get out in some situations, just financially. And usually, honestly, the people that want to get out and are ready to get out don't really, their heart and soul are with kids, but they're at that burnout stage, like we talk about, right? But it dawned on me, I'm feeling like this, and oh my gosh, I feel like I'm complaining more this year. I'm negative more this year. Have I become that teacher that I swore I would never
one
be?
of them.
And I realized, okay, yeah, in some ways you have, because you do feel sort of stuck. You have to finish it out, even when it gets rougher than you ever thought it could be, emotionally, mentally, physically. And I remember my teacher friends and I was fortunate to be in a PLC with a lot of people at that same place. And so we would talk aloud about that, about here's where we are. We swore we would never be those people. How are we going to combat this?
Right.
And we started working together on watching the negativity. We started working together to find the positive. And things like, that's when I said, I'm going to do flexible seating next year. This scares the heck out of me. I'm dreading every minute of it. But lo and behold, a month into it, the kids and I loved it. And I've had flexible seating ever since,
Nice.
And in that little change, you can make a little change in your routine, in what you teach, and how you teach it, that can spark that new life into you. And you can look for those good things to spark it. So, yeah, I saw myself not being in teaching. And in this new district now, in this new school, and I've only had, like I said, a couple of weeks of teacher training and 2 days with kids. I said the other day to someone, I think I could teach another 30 years.
Woo.
So, we'll see what happens, Tony. If I'm not teaching, I'll be in a van traveling around the country to our national parks. And what I'd really love to do is do online teaching from our national parks. Now, that would be a thrill.
Wow.
Either that or you and I are going to be ruling the world. We'll figure it out together.
Hey, we're going to need more than just us two.
Well, you got a whole crew and I got a whole crew of fabulous teachers that can help.
I like it. I think that answers one of my questions, which is what's your escape plan? Okay, we're going to go to our next W. Since we covered who, we've covered what and where, we have when and why. I'll let you choose.
Let's do why.
Why do people leave education?
I'm hoping for some that it's because they got in and realized it's not really what they wanted to do. And they realized they needed to do something else for them and for kids, right? Because I want the best for the teachers I work with, and I want them to be happy and content and passionate. And if it's not education, I want them to find that. And I want kids to have happy, content, and passionate teachers. For a lot of people nowadays, there's a whole compilation of it's getting very hard, especially after COVID, to survive on the pay. It's not necessarily depressed in their personal lives. We day to day carry the kid that isn't bringing supplies, and the kid that's getting made fun of, and the kid that does struggle with a health crisis that's been put in the hospital multiple times. And I think people don't realize that teachers I carry all of those kids, hundreds of kids in my heart. And at the most random times, one comes to mind. And I have to think and pray about him for a minute because I'm worried about where he might be, or I'm hopeful for his happiness and success and dreams to have come true, you know? So we carry a lot. I think all of that contributes. I think there's a lot we could do as a nation and as districts and as our state to show respect and appreciation. And really, it's such little things that adds up.
Makes a difference.
Hmm.
Okay, last W. Oh wait. Yeah, last W. When? When did you begin to feel confident in yourself as a teacher?
Oh, Tony.
Ah.
I'll tell you what, that comes and goes. 30
Mm,
years in, if you're trying new things, if you're paying attention to the kids, because all it takes is one kid for me looking confused, looking lost, looking annoyed, where I start to think, okay,
mm.
where
What I
where
miss?
am I off track? Right. So I can come in feeling like I love this lesson. I'm gonna rock it. And I do, and it's a great day, but I can be just as certain because I rocked it first, second, and third period, and then fourth period, it all falls apart, And so then I'm thinking, uh-oh. And I'm trying to build myself back up, and I'm looking for my support
Mm,
team around me to say, oh heck, it all goes wrong at some point. Just hang it up and laugh about it because
yep.
you got to get up and keep trying. And I love when the kids see me struggle with a fail, no matter how big or small. I always share that with them
Mhm.
and I make it a point to apologize in front of a whole class if I've messed up because I let them know, hey, we all make mistakes. The big thing is you
Right.
apologize if you hurt somebody, you pick yourself up and you keep going, you know? So I don't know that I'll ever be 100% confident. Um, but that's the joy of teaching. And I think that's what keeps you in the game too. If you ever feel like you're the
Yeah.
best of the best and don't have to try, well, then you're not going to show up.
I think the best of the best are the best of the best because they do try and then they do fail. But I think those people, and I'm sure you fall into this category. It's like, okay, yeah, this failed, but I'm confident that I can find something else or that I'll try something else, right? And that's what makes the best teachers because I remember there was a time where I was like, all right, guys, this project, it sucked. And like that starts with me, like maybe the directions weren't great. I had this idea and it just did not work. So we're just gonna throw this one out. We're
Yeah.
gonna try something different. And there was one where I was like, there was like this resume thing, and I said, okay, guys, as I'm sitting over there and I'm watching your presentations, this is how I feel, this is what I'm seeing, and this is what I want to see. There's a disconnect here. So to make this better, like what do we need? Right. And
Hmm.
so I've had a project that just totally bombed, but you have to look yourself in the mirror and go, okay, is this something that we need to throw out or can we keep it and make it better? And if I'm making it better for students, why not ask the
Yes.
students, how could this be better? Because I'm doing a lot of these same projects the very next semester with all new kids. So I
Hmm.
have the privilege of being able to change things and then really put them into practice almost like as soon as possible, which will be the next semester. So yeah, I think the best teachers are always looking to adapt and change and figure things out and fail and get better and fail and change. And that kind of thinking, I think, makes not just the best teachers, but the best people.
I would agree with that. Absolutely. And what you said about involving the kids just hit my heart big because
Mm.
I do think, and I was thinking that when you were talking, that our kids are some of our biggest fans and biggest supporters.
Oh,
They
yeah,
will do
100%.
more to pick you up when you fall and say, don't worry, Miss Meyer, it's okay.
Yep.
Um, than anybody on the planet, which is amazing for these young people. So asking, and I tend to ask at the end of the year, what did you hate? What did you love? What do I need to keep doing? And what's beautiful
Mm.
is I'll have kids come back from high school and say, Miss Meyer, you haven't been doing this, but I know some other kids that had a teacher that was doing it and they were really better
Yeah.
prepared. Can you start doing this? Well, I love that because now I know what my kids need going forward, which is another way talking to the high school teachers, talking to teachers beyond your school helps you But, oh, I loved what you just said. Yeah.
Okay. Before we get out of here, and we could probably do this for another 2 hours, I'm sure. What advice would you give to a new teacher, and what advice would you give to an experienced teacher?
For a new teacher, I would tell them it is going to feel extremely overwhelming. They'll go into a district that will start them with about a week of training probably, and they'll have
Hmm.
so much thrown at them with technology and how to do gradebook and
Too
how to
much.
do and so many email messages with this has to happen day 1, day 2, day 3. And I would encourage them to take a deep breath and to know that the world doesn't fall apart if their website or their Canvas page isn't quite done. The world doesn't fall apart if they accidentally forget to show this little video of how to behave at lunch or
Hmm.
can't get it to work. Just to take a deep breath and enjoy preparing their room, enjoy getting excited and doing all those things to get ready for kids, but let go of what slips past you or you haven't had time for, because when you walk in that room, all that
Hmm.
matters is you and those kids and greeting them and making them feel welcome and helping yourself to feel comfortable with them. You and the kids will get through the day just fine. And you'll
Right.
get through the next week. And before you know it, it'll be the next month. And then after Christmas, and then your first year will be done. And you'll start all over again the next year. Won't be quite as stressful. But learning to roll with it and to realize the world doesn't end. And they don't come in and say, okay, you're fired because you didn't play the video about lunch. So it gets so stressful, and it gets stressful even for experienced teachers. And so being able to
Hmm.
let go of the stuff that doesn't matter, because all that matters are those kids and their hearts and souls and their minds that are sitting right in front of you every day.
And then for an experienced teacher, what advice would you give them?
What has helped me as I've become more and more experienced is to spend time with the young people and appreciate what they're bringing in and the new excitement and joy, and to work to surround myself with people who are capable of looking at all the positives, because we always have a
Hmm.
choice every day. We can see all the positives or all the negatives, but it's hard to see both at the same time. It's almost like colorblind, right? We're looking for the green, bright green, yellow positives, and all we're seeing are the red and purple, negatives. So, and then I would tell them to challenge themselves to do something different, something big, not small, but challenge themselves to find something, even if it's a whole new lesson they're going to bring in that a teacher shared, or are
Hmm.
changing up their seating arrangement that they've had for 15 years. Sometimes renewing something in your environment or in your knowledge base is all it takes to ignite a new passion and excitement in you.
Mm. Well, Donna, Miss Meyer, thank you for coming on and giving such great advice, sharing your touching stories, and being a part of Teacher Tales.
I've just enjoyed it so much. I look forward to a continued friendship and to listening and watching all you do, joining the different groups that we're already in together and more. But yeah, you're an inspiration, I told you, and what you do is very important for teachers and indirectly for kids. And I can see that in your heart that that's what you're doing it for. So thank you so much, and thanks for inviting me on. It's been a real pleasure.
Boom. That was our episode for today. I mean, what? I don't know why the word magical is coming to mind, but that's what I would use to describe Donna and just her being able to tell those stories. There's no way that I could leave any of that stuff out. So that's why we had a part two for her to just continue to share more because I think that she is just that awesome. Before we get out of here, remember, you are making an impact, both big and small. So be mindful of the words that you choose and the actions that you take. Empower your students because just like the story Donna told, you never know what can come from just giving people the opportunity to to do what they're called to do. Because you enjoyed what you heard from this episode, go join the Teacher Triumphs Facebook group. Me and Jen created it as a way to help you overcome burnout and balance life by building community with other wonderful educators. Thank you for listening. Keep teaching, keep learning, and I will see you all on the next journey.